Hi, my name is Greg Judkins, and I've been announcing sports since 1985. For basketball, I started doing youth league games at my local high school, and after a few years, I got a chance to move up to the high school varsity level. Then in 2003, I took over as the announcer at Maryville College, where I still announce to this day. This past fall, I was inducted into the Maryville College Sports Wall of Fame, a fact that I'm still very honored and very proud of. Well, enough about me. Let's meet the setup that I use when I'm actually announcing a ball game. This is an Excel spreadsheet. I've spent at least 20 years worth of tinkering to develop what you see here today. I'd like to point out a few things. Number one, I am on a Mac. I'm using Excel for Macintosh. I do use macros. I've learned just enough Visual Basic to program this and make these buttons work. And I'll also point out that this spreadsheet is set up for women's college basketball. I have a different one for men's that's in halves, not quarters, and a different one also for high school. And what I do is I will just rename, save as, and clone these files from game to game. So we're in the game tab. And in this game tab, I'll come back and I'll explain more about this later. But this is what I'm actually looking at during a game. There are things that I really need to keep up with, like personal fouls, team fouls, bonus, certainly the score and the period. But there are also things that I just enjoy keeping up with, and that would be points, percentages, and I also have other information here that I just like to enter and have that available when I need it. So beforehand, the night before or a few nights before, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go to this rosters tab. And this is where I enter all the information about the two teams that are going to be playing. And currently, and most of the time, I have it set up in this us versus them mode. The Maryville College roster, I would enter all that information at the beginning of the season, and then it just stays there. Like I said, I clone these from game to game, but I could delete all that and put in another team's roster if I was announcing a neutral site game. But we're going to pretend that Maryville is getting ready to play the University of Tennessee Lady Vols. They're from Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where I enter all that information. More on that later. And then I just go to that other team's website. I get their roster, and I can copy and paste. Now, the first thing I look at, this data is not in the format I want it in, so I'm going to go in and remove the hyperlinks because that causes all kinds of trouble. And I'm getting old and my eyes and brain just aren't as fast as they used to be, and when I'm announcing things on the fly, I don't want to have to look at that and say, is that SR, JR, or FR? I want the whole word. So that's what I do. I do a copy and replace, and SR will become senior, and FR, freshman, and of course I'll do it for sophomore and junior as well. And that gets that into a Word form. I also, same thing with positions. I don't, on the fly, want to try to read G or F. I like the whole word. So there we go. We'll put the whole word in. In this roster from the University of Tennessee website, they already had it in a format that I can use. often in Excel, when you copy and paste, this would say June the 4th, and you have to go in and manually type 6'4". But in this case, we're okay. But now we come to the state name. And again, I don't like having to differentiate or try to remember what's the abbreviation, what it stands for. So, here's an example, and this is a good one. If I just go in, I want to make this be the whole state name, not just GA. For example, GA and CA, is it Georgia or California? It's a big difference, big difference in location. But if I just do that, well, it will change this Georgia. That's what I want, but you got this problem right here. That GA got changed to Georgia also. So I don't like that. I'm going to go out, hit undo, and we're going to try that again. And you have to really think about this. Sometimes I have to mess up a few times before I get it right. But there we go. This should have it. It does. That's good. And of course, I don't have to do this. I can just do it manually. Like they only have one girl from Nevada, so I could just do that individually. And now I've got all my data. Of course, I would do it for all the states, but I've got all my data in a format that I like. So I need to put it into these columns so that other places in this spreadsheet can read it. So I'm going to do number and name. Those are good. But then the next column is position. So that's the fourth column here. That's okay. And then height and year. And finally, hometown. And there you go. So once those rosters are in place, I can go back to this game tab, and there they are. And all the roster information that I put on the roster tab is now in this spot on the game tab. Now I'm very prone to getting confused, and I like to just eliminate that problem before, if I can. So I color coordinate, I color code everything, and that's easy to do with Excel. I'm sure these are not the exact colors, and I can change that. I can even go in here and change the border. Oh, let's make it white. So now the orange team is Tennessee, and Maryville, let's say we're wearing our garnet instead of gray. So in Excel, you can create these team RGB code colors, and I can make the names white and borders. Again, I've already got Maryville orange. I can set that up, and there you go. And again, I could do that up here too. For the possession arrow, same thing. I can make that. I can now put UT. That's awfully small. I want it bigger. That's okay. And we'll make that white. And I guess that color for orange. And then I can just go down and paste those in. Okay, so it's game night, and I go to the gym and open up this spreadsheet from where I'd prepared it beforehand, and I go to this pregame tab, and in the pregame tab I have all the stuff I'm going to need for pregame. And the first thing I always do is go get starting lineups, or as soon as they're available. And so they tell me UT is going to start 0, 1, 7, 11, and 13. Okay. And as you can see, it instantly populates that stuff with all of that information. I don't have to highlight and try to change those columns out from the roster page, but everything that I typed in and I put it in a certain format over here gets loaded where I want it on this page. And the neat thing is, if there's a last minute change, let's say number 7 is going to be replaced by number 5, well, all I have to do is just type that in, and instantly that information's available. So I type in all my starting lineups for both teams. I'll get the officials' names and type them in, and then we're ready to start announcing at 1:30. I'm going to read this script, our sportsmanship announcement, and then when the clock runs out, I'll introduce the two teams. All of that is information here that was loaded from that roster page. And then, of course, the national anthem. After the national anthem, we'll introduce the visiting team first. And as I said, that's information from the roster page in the format I want it. And the visiting coaches, again, from the roster page. I've got myself a little reminder to wait for that video. Don't go plowing through it again. And then, of course, the home team players and coaches. And finally, I introduce the officials, and we're ready to play ball. Okay, so during the game, I'm on this game tab, and I'm just going to give you a quick tour of it. Obviously, I have these points set up for each player. They can make a 1-point, 2-point, or 3-pointer. It will keep up with the team score and the period we're in. So if we go to the second period, you can see that it's got a first period and second period and the overall team score. There are foul buttons for each player. So I'm going to go back to the first period here. And let's say she gets a foul. I've got 1 foul on her, 1 on the team. And then once we get to that fourth, I know that we're on the 2-shot bonus. And then once I go to the second period, it will clean all of that out, and we start all over again with team fouls and the bonus. Alternating possession, I don't have anything fancy here. I just type in notes. So let's say Maryville gets the tip, and then at 7:35 there's a jump ball, and at the start of the second quarter, and I just do it that way. I've got these that I can copy and paste down. For timeouts, I have these totals here, and if I type in something like first period 7:19, they call timeout, well, then this knows that. And of course, we could go to overtime, and what I do is I type a space in here, and if I delete that space, it knows to read that now. I keep up with media timeouts just so I know that we did them. So 5 minutes in the first quarter, scores 20-20. I've got definitely the reset button here that I can use and reset all of this back to 0 for a new game. Obviously, I try to keep that out of the picture during a regular game so I don't accidentally hit it. And I've even got these tags here. Sometimes long hair covers uniform numbers, so I can put these descriptions and change those. So I guess that's pretty much it. And like I said, this is 20 years worth of tinkering, and I'm always looking to make it better or add something. If you would like to help by making comments or suggestions, like maybe you know a better way to program something or something else to keep up with, I'd love to hear about it. And if you've got your own system, I love looking at what other people have. Thank you very much.